2. Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and WNST.net. Our ongoing Super Bowl 54 coverage live from Radio Row in Miami Beach includes a guy that I watch on television all the time. Little baseball, little football, little baseball, little football, little best damn this, best damn that. Good to have you back on the program, man. It's been about 15 years. Chris Rowe's back on. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Everything good? Everything good?
Well, everything's good, but, you know.
I know, yeah.
I got Baltimore
How is the
people.
Charm City doing?
This dude over here's got an Oriole hat. He's got a Lamar.
Oh, God. Well, that was his first
Lamar
problem.
thing going on over here.
Right.
Yeah, and
okay.
little Lamar's going on over
gosh.
here. And,
You're crushing kids' dreams right now.
And we're not here. You know, I mean,
know.
He's like, hey, I rented the condo. First thing that happened when I landed here, we're Fort Lauderdale. It's a week ago now. I've been here a long time. I go up to get my luggage. It's all Chiefs fans. See you red. I'm like, damn, they're here already. And I'm like, worse than that. They're in our condos. They're using our tickets, drinking our beer. But, you know, I can't feel that bad. I love Andy Reid. You know, who doesn't love Andy Reid?
Well, let's deal with your pain first, okay? Now, you know me. I'm a native Clevelander, so I'm not going to have a ton of sympathy for those in Baltimore.
Well, you had a lot of fun with the basketball thing for a while.
But I will say this. I was mildly shocked the AFC Championship game was not in Baltimore. Now, I didn't necessarily think that the Chiefs weren't going to be a major issue for Baltimore in that game. But I thought there was no way that Tennessee was going to come in there and win that game.
How many of those AFC Championship games did they play? I was at the one, the drive game. Then the other one with Biner was in
So there were
Denver,
3 and 4
and
years.
The third one was where? I forget. That's the one I'm forgetting about.
The last one was in Denver. I think it was 37-21.
They both were in Denver.
The last two.
The last two. Okay.
Yeah, so it was the drive.
So they have played an AFC Championship game more recently. Our last one in Baltimore was 71.
Right.
So Cleveland has had an AFC Championship game at home more recently than we have.
That is true.
We've never done, and that was like, I've got like the dummy tickets from years where like 06 we sat here with Coach Billick and talked about that. You know, there is a feeling of we've won all these things on the road, and as I'm looking up and seeing the program from 35 and 47, you know, we feel a little cheated out of it a little bit, but we're also realistic in got a great quarterback, got a great franchise, got cap space. So guys like you that do this for a living say, draft time, you guys will reload, you'll have another opportunity. But 14-2, man, it creates an expectation that if you're not here, everything else is a bust. It's almost like a college season if you're Alabama or something.
You were the third most talked about team in the division going into the year, right? Obviously the Browns were the most talked about. The Steelers, because in part of what they lost between Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. And people were like, Baltimore will be interesting. And people forgot that they actually won the division the year before, right? And hosted a playoff game and all that sort of stuff. So I think the Ravens just kind of went about their business. And during that 12-game winning streak, they were phenomenal. They were fun to watch. I mean, the fact that that a Baltimore team led the league in scoring, right? I mean, that just hasn't been the identity of this team.
Well, the Lamar factor, you know, I call it Fernando mania because I'm an old guy.
Right.
That Mark Fidrich with the bird, or you know, anything that's sort of this sensation, especially in football, because at that position, Mahomes is that, right?
Yeah.
Garoppolo can be that if he wins on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Got to throw the ball more than 8 times.
I don't think that even if Jimmy Garoppolo is the MVP of the Super Bowl, I don't think he'll ever be looked at as Jimmy G's team. I think
Flacco suffers from that. Eli suffers from that, right?
Well, Eli's a little different now. Joe Flacco will never, in my opinion, get the respect that he deserved. Everybody's
Good
like,
for you.
Everybody goes, well, what did he ever do? You know,
make the playoffs every year, win on the road every year.
Yeah, and didn't he throw 11 touchdowns and have no picks during that playoff run?
Yeah, Montana-esque.
Right, he was great, and beat Denver on a play that I've still watched 100 times and still don't understand how he completed the pass.
That was a really, really cool moment.
It was a great moment for them. And
you guys put that top 100 plays or whatever it was.
Right.
It wasn't high enough. It was top 50. What was it? It wasn't high enough. It was like 40-something. I'm like, I mean, I'm not just saying that because I'm a Ravens fan, but that ain't ever going to happen.
No,
again.
when you think about the implications of the play, the play itself, there's not a moment where you're like, oh, my gosh. It wasn't like the Donovan McNabb play against the Cowboys where he ran back and forth and back and forth.
Or the off the helmet.
Right, or anything like that. But when you talk about the significance of the actual play and what it meant moving forward, it is lost in the history of the NFL, in my opinion.
Well, I think we're going to get a good game here this week.
Yes.
But, you know, from that standpoint, I'm okay with it. I mean, I'm I'm sure Lamar's not okay because he's not going to be able to come back to his hometown and have a Super Bowl. No one in Baltimore is okay with it, although they did have too much fun at the Pro Bowl last week. But, Mahomes, Andy Reid, storylines, the San Francisco defense, John Lynch, Shanahan, that legacy. Kansas City's waited 50 years. San Francisco's been waiting a long time because they didn't run the ball on the goal line against us, right? So this is a nice football matchup, and it's fresh. It's not Tom Brady.
Right.
And I think from your perspective at the network, just fresh. There's a lot of fresh here, really.
And exciting. And if your team is out of it, and you could just remove your rooting allegiance from the equation, I don't think you could handpick a better, more interesting Super Bowl. I mean, we get a 100-page research packet from our awesome research department, and I have probably flipped on this 16 times since trying to figure it out. Right now I've got San Francisco 31-27, but if you check back with me Sunday morning, I probably will change it before then.
All right. You got anything to say about baseball? I mean, you're a baseball guy.
Yeah,
right?
well, the Orioles.
No. I mean, come on. The Astros thing.
Okay.
Well,
what do you want?
From that side of it, we now have leadership with the Orioles that got their pelt in an unsavory fashion, whether they're implicated in knowing or not knowing. Dude, you're an insider. I got thrown out for being an insider. I got thrown out for being honest 15 years ago after having a credential for 21 years. I don't believe that no one knew, or the 1,100 times trash cans got banged on. And so all that being said, I just don't – this is a real recovery for the game for people like me. My last name's Aparicio. Like, I love baseball, and my team's got 2 seasons left on a lease, and they don't even have their tickets on sale right now. I'm at the Super Bowl. The season starts in 6 weeks, and I can't buy a ticket. It's alarming to me at the top that how they're going to survive this kind of a little bit of an earthquake of a scandal.
Yeah, I don't think it's a question of survival. I think, if anything, it piqued people's interest a little bit. I mean, when was the last time that the Yankees or Red Sox wasn't the most hated team in baseball?
Fair enough. I mean, you want to be a bad guy, cheat.
But I'm not defending it. What I'm saying is that that's kind of the narrative now, and that we'll see how it plays out. I don't think that there's a question that the Astros – I don't know who it was outside of Cora and Beltran because it wasn't named in the report. Does it mean that on certain days guys were the beneficiaries of that, of the trash can banging? Yeah. Does it mean that they used it every day? So we can sit here and say, is Alex Bregman a great player because he was getting signals from a trash can, or is he really a great player? Like, I think that's the next step.
Well, if he's wearing a wire, there's a whole different level.
Yeah, but they did that investigation, and they said that that's not what happened. So we can sit here and look at pictures on Twitter and say, oh, there's definitely a wire there. Like, I don't know.
Well, we had Deflategate in the end. It's not bringing the sport down, but the integrity of what they're doing.
I don't know. I don't think any of us.
I think it's a shame. I love baseball. You love baseball.
I do too, but I don't think any of us as fans sat there during Deflategate and were like, boy, I wonder what the PSI in that football is today. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a bigger story for the media and for us to talk about than for what fans care about. So what do fans care about?
Players are going to care about it, though.
But they do. Now, I've talked to a bunch of players who were pissed off about what happened.
Right.
And some of them are like, well, they're going to be wearing it this year. Wait till you see how many guys get hit. And I said, it's fine to say that in the middle of January. When you toe the slab at the end of March, are you going to feel the same way? And how are you so certain that maybe your team isn't doing it? Like, that's the other part of the equation, is that there's a possibility that there were some other teams.
Somebody else is going to get ratted out.
I don't know.
Well, that's even scarier.
It's a possibility. We all have to be on alert. I don't like what the Astros did. I don't like that they haven't apologized yet, except for Dallas Keuchel. I think they need to hire a damage control PR firm. I'm not joking here, because this is bigger than sports PR. This is not, hey, can you do
Black Soxy is what I've called it.
Except that in 1919 there was no PR machine.
There was no Twitter.
So now I would hire the best firm out of Washington,
John
D.C.
Boy.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what I'm saying? I would hire the best firm out of Washington, bring them in, and say, listen, this is what you got to present right now. And there's going to be a faction of the sport that's going to hate you no matter what you say and do. But if you really care about your image and people, giving you credit for what you've done, and let's remember, look at what the Astros have done. 3 straight 100-win seasons, and 2 World Series appearances and a championship, that's pretty damn good. Like, do you want to let that all go to waste because nobody wants to say they're sorry and take that first step forward? Who's going to do that? We're a forgiving society. If you act like you give a damn, then people will give you the benefit of the doubt.
Chris Rose is here all of the time. Let's see. Best Damn, MLB, NFL Network, full coverage. They say 8.5 hours.
BattleBots. Don't forget BattleBots.
Let's do that as well. Fair enough.
BattleBots.
Yeah, and available on Twitter as well. For the league and for what this is, there is no offseason. 8.5 hours of pregame coverage is what they tell me to say. Been to the Combine. You guys get the draft. Goodell might go in the fountain at the Bellagio. Who knows, right? But the NFL has built with all the rest of them, including baseball, the NBA. And, look, Kobe shocked. I mean, what happened with Kobe? And, I know you're also huge in the NBA circles of, that era. Dude, I'm sitting on Radio Row 20 minutes after it happened on Sunday. It was just a different kind of mood to start the week, right?
Yeah, I live 10 miles from where that happened. We have really good friends that live in Calabasas, and the whole city, it really just shut down for I would say for 48 hours. You just couldn't go anywhere without talking not only about Kobe and Gigi, but the other families that were involved, and sitting there trying to figure out something that you can't.
How long have you been in L.A.?
20 years now.
20. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm not.
And Kobe is the culture, right? It's like Cal Ripken in Baltimore. It's
to a certain extent.
Well, I felt that way about the NFL. Players, any kind of players, rappers. He transcended sports.
Totally.
Yeah.
LA, you saw it. You saw it on opening night when the Chiefs and the Niners were answering questions about how many of those guys, like, Mamba mentality. Like, okay, few guys have done it as well as Kobe when it comes to having a singular focus. We all talk about wanting to work hard and do this. Like, apparently that guy really, really lived it. And he was a flawed human, like we all are. Made some major, major mistakes. In the end, turned into seemingly, I didn't really know him. I interviewed him a handful of times, but I didn't know him.
Right.
Into a really solid person. And I think that's what we all try and
spending time with his daughter, right?
Yeah, who doesn't want to do that?
Chris Rose, good to visit with you, man. Plug away. What do you want to plug? Plug away.
Nothing, man.
How about plugging the Browns and the Bengals? Joe Burrow, first pick. Are the Bengals ever going to rise? Are the Browns ever going to rise up?
Boy, we were so high on the expectation meter this past year.
I made a lot of jokes last summer saying I'd be sitting here in Miami and it would be
brown and orange.
Yeah, well, I knew everybody thought that. That was kind of like the inside
I will
joke.
say this. I thought that they have a chance at a 10-win season, which I thought would get them in the playoffs.
Coaching's important. Leadership's important.
It is, but at the same time, everybody goes,
ownership's
I knew.
Important.
Well,
there you go. There you go.
Let's move on before I get in trouble.
Hey.
How's that sound?
Chris Rose, NFL Network, joining us here.
Be well.
We are WNST.net, AM 1570, and WNST Dallas in Baltimore. We're live at Super Bowl 54. We're in Miami Beach. More ahead right after this.